From Grassroots, a movement for free and fair elections in Cambodia. It's a public lecture by Koul Panha, 2011 Ramon Magsaysay Awardee. This event is brought to you by the Third World Studies Center at Ramon Magsaysay Foundation, the Office of the Vice President for Public Affairs of the University of the Philippines, along with the departments, the UP Departments of Political Science, the UP Department of History, and the Office of the Dean, the College of Arts and Letters. For our welcome remarks, I'd like to call on Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, University of the Philippines, Diliman, Dr. Koul Panha, to deliver the welcome remarks on behalf of Chancellor Cesar Saloma. Dr. Panha.
Mr. Koul Panha, 2011 Ramon Magsaysay Awardee, Honorable Alfredo Pascual, UP President, Dr. Jose Wendell Capili, UP Assistant Vice President for Public Affairs, Dr. Maria Elisa Jaime Lau, fellow members of the faculty, students, guests, good morning. On behalf of the UP Diliman community, I would like to welcome you to the public lecture by our distinguished guest, Mr. Koul Panha. We are honored to have him today and to engage him in a dialogue on a topic that is fundamental to our lives as citizens. Elections, as we have learned from our experience, are both a necessity and a vexation in a democracy. Without it faithfully executed, a democracy fails. But with its every conduct, we have to endure its tragicomic character, from politicians making a fool of themselves to fools actually winning office, most often through fraud and violence, made institutional by political dynasties, if not outright warlordism. The University of the Philippines has been one of the Filipino people's unyielding struggle to make elections in this country not only an act of exercising sovereignty, proof that the power resides in the people, but that elections be also imbued with moral and ethical tone. The acts of corrupt elections can be countered by a people conscious of the value of their votes, mindful of the basis and consequences of their choice, and have the good nature to accept the wisdom of the majority. Towards this effort, we have a lot to learn and much to do. Hearing other people's experiences will always be of value. Both Cambodia and the Philippines went through dark chapters in their respective histories. In the 1970s, we bear witness to the Khmer Rouge totalitarian terror and to Marcos' authoritarian rule. But the Cambodian and the Filipino people have shown unsurpassed courage to be free and an extraordinary resilience in their faith on democracy. Let this occasion then be a shared moment in the parallel history of the Filipino and the Cambodian people, where we learn not only how to make votes count, but to make elections matter. In closing, let me thank the Ramon Magsaysay Foundation and the Third World Studies Center for organizing this event as the co-sponsors. The University of the Philippines Office of the Vice President for Public Affairs, the College of Arts and Letters Office of the Dean, the Department of Political Science, and the Department of History. Thank you and a pleasant morning to everyone.
Maraming salamat, Vice Chancellor Panha. And now, I would like to call on the President of the University of the Philippines, President Alfredo E. Pascual, to deliver his opening message. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Our honored guest, Mr. Koul Panha, colleagues in the university, students, isang mapagpalat at magpalayang umaga sa inyong lahat. Years after former Philippine President Ramon Magsaysay passed on, his pioneering spirit and indefatigable energy remained with a vibrant presence across the Asia-Pacific region. For many years, Mr. Koul Panha, our distinguished speaker this morning, has exemplified the ideals of Ramon Magsaysay. Like President Magsaysay, Mr. Panha was determined to improve the lives of his people by promoting integrity in public service and pragmatic idealism within a democratic society. Mr. Panha's courage and creativity as Executive Director of Cambodia's Committee for Free and Fair Elections, or COMFREL, since 1998, has been instrumental in safeguarding the integrity of elections in Cambodia. At the same time, Cambodians are informed and inspired to underscore the value of the electoral system in their country. Under Mr. Panha's dynamic leadership, COMFREL became Cambodia's leading independent election watch organization. COMFREL deploys over 50,000 volunteers and mobilizes more than 150 voters to engage actively and aggressively towards fair and meaningful elections. Not surprisingly, at the Cultural Center of the Philippines last night, Mr. Panha was honored by Ramon Magsaysay Foundation for his determined and courageous leadership of the sustained campaign to build an enlightened, organized, and vigilant citizenry who will ensure fair and free elections, as well as demand accountable governance by their elected officials in Cambodia's nascent democracy. I can imagine the difficulties that Mr. Panha had to face fighting for accountability in governance in a country that is slowly emerging into democracy. The work does not begin or end at the polls. I have experienced this myself as lead convener of Automated Election System Watch, or AES Watch, an independent group of volunteers that sought to promote clean and credible elections in the Philippines last May 2010. Sufficiently informing the public about democratic processes and encouraging civic participation is a must and a constant challenge. As President of the University of the Philippines, I share Mr. Panha's unwavering commitment in promoting the principles of transparency and accountability in democratic elections. His insights on what can work to safeguard democracy in the face of seemingly insurmountable hurdles will be valuable in our efforts to avert electoral frauds in our respective countries. Hopefully, Mr. Panha's articulation this morning will also inspire many of us in the Philippines to keep faith in the ability of our countrymen to find technology solutions that will ensure the trustworthiness of Philippine elections in 2013 and beyond. I commend the Ramon Magsaysay Foundation, the UP Third World Study Center, the UP Office of the Vice President for Public Affairs, the Office of the Dean of the UP Diliman College of Arts and Letters, the UP Department of Political Science, and the UP Department of History for co-organizing this morning's public lecture. Thank you, and good morning to all. Mabuhay!
Maraming salamat po, President Pascual. As we all know, this is actually being co-organized with the Vice President for Public Affairs. Our Vice President for Public Affairs is actually here. I'd like to acknowledge his presence, Vice President J. Prosper Rivera from the National College of Public Administration and Governance. Along with President Pascual, they were able to succeed in securing funding so we can have public events like this one where we can engage with the public in regard to public issues and other socio-political discussions here in the UP and outside the university as well. Before we continue, I'd also like to acknowledge other distinguished guests from the audience. From the College of Arts and Letters, one of our co-sponsors, the Dean of the College of Arts and Letters, Dean Elena Rivera Mirano. The Chairperson of the Department of Political Science, Professor Ruth Lusterio Rico. The Chairperson of the Department of History, Professor Lou Bolina. We also have a distinguished retired UP professor, political science professor, Estrella Salido. From the University of Nottingham, Dr. Pauline Eady. We also have Professor Jean Franco from the Department of Political Science, the Deputy Director of the Third World Studies Center, Mercedes Planta, and from Ramon Magsaysay Foundation, Kiel Sandico Fernandez, and of course, our Director of the Third World Studies Center, Dr. Ella Atienza. So friends, without any further ado, I'd like to call on 2011 Ramon Magsaysay Awardee Koul Panha to deliver his lecture. Let's give him a very warm round.
Good morning, President of the University of the Philippines, Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs, Vice Chancellor of the Public Affairs, Chairperson of the Department of Political Science and History, Professor and participant here. My presentation today, this morning, will focus first on my personal experience, which led me to the where I am today. And I will speak about Cambodian current situation as a young democracy and what is our citizen role as a COMFREL, is an organization, Committee for Free and Fair Election in Cambodia, role in response to that situation. So, what is the mean young democracy in Cambodia? But let's start from what is I experienced. Before the United Nations Transitional Authority in Cambodia, UNTAC, was established, Cambodia was not a democracy at all. It is a constant state of struggle to democratize its society during Khmer, after the Khmer. That means in 1991, it was first start that Cambodia have Paris Peace Agreement. All rival factions agree, commit to implement this Paris Agreement. I, along with other former prisoner of conscience or the political prisoner, but took a risk to initiate the first human rights movement inside the country. which the goal to prevent the Cambodian return to the civil war, the brutality of the human rights abuse, oppression, and the disaster. In 1991, that means Cambodia is still the socialist authoritarian or socialist dictatorship. After the Khmer, they are still in that situation. The main factor of my motivation for joining this human rights movement came from my experience when I was a child in Phnom Penh, is the capital city of Cambodia, was bombed for a long time when I was 8 years old. My family and I hid in the trench until the Khmer took over the city. The memory that led to my family was my parent was brave. My mother protests when the Khmer ordered us to leave our house unreasonably. They told us not take any belonging. My father stopped my mother, tell her that if she protests, she could be shot, or our family should be shot. My mother understood and agreed to stop protesting. In 1976, after 1 year, Khmer took over the power. We start hearing news that the Khmer had requested my father to pick a bean. That means to farm the bean or to harvest the bean. After a few days, my father knew that he would face with the danger. After a few days, I received information from the villager, especially the senior villager, that my father was killed. What was the motivate killing? Because my father was a clerk of Supreme Court. The senior villager told me that my father did not let Khmer and the soldier kill him easily. He fought them back. So our life, I and my family was in danger. In order to live in this situation, we and my family, my mother and other member of family and I try to work harder and harder and to be more patient and ignore the fear feeling. Since 1993, so it's my part in during the Khmer Rule. Since 1993, I have been involved with election work with UNTAC. Because 1993 is a UNTAC arrived and established its organization. I involved as a team leader of voter registration, and also I involved with other civil society organization named Cambodian Task Force on Cambodian Election as assistant. In 1995, after UNTAC finished its mission, I and other leader of civil society organization realized that we are Cambodian. As a citizen, should have obligation and responsibility to continue to promote democracy and a free and fair election. So I became the executive director of Committee for Free and Fair Election in 1997. And then I start to engage with the Asian Network for Free Election and COMFREL also. My experience, my lesson, learn a lot from the best practice from regional organization, many regional organizations. In particular, COMFREL is our mentor in 1995. So I'm very proud of my involvement with these two movements since 1991 until now. The first relates to the human rights activity. The second, my engagement with the election and the democracy. The first, my involvement with human rights, we had success to neutralize the negative reaction from the government, especially from conservative elites and its supporters, who argue the human rights organization and our member, our agent, work for political interests, defend the bandit, defend the criminal people. So we try to aggressively campaign against this negative feedback, negative argument. We use combination human rights as a universal value and combination with our culture, religious and tradition. Because in our culture, in our religious, in our tradition, we have this kind of core value of human rights also. So it's easy to explain the public, to explain the citizen, to explain the people. So now Cambodian people are aware about the existing and the protection of human rights and the dignity. As related to our culture. Our work is trying to build the respect of human rights was very significant, contribute to success of the 1993 election conducted by the UNTAC. Because without understand very well about human rights, I can imagine that's so very difficult to motivate people to participate in the election process. And combination with the fear, environment of fear, would be very difficult. So my second engagement is related to the election and democracy. That also contribute to some principal movement and a major change in the COMFREL that I work for. Let me to start what is mean Cambodian young democracy. Cambodian democracy can refer as a young democracy, which as defined a fragile democracy. Even until now, you can say. Because this democracy began recently, a short period after the genocide, post-conflict, brutality of human rights abuse and oppression. Although currently there are legal frameworks, procedure for the electoral democracy in Cambodia.